In previous tutorials, we talked about utilizing the MailChimp email service application to create lists and design sign-up forms and put those sign-up forms onto your website. These things have already been done for this tutorial, and I'm assuming that you have logged into your MailChimp dashboard and you're ready to send a campaign. Now, MailChimp basically refers to an email blast as a campaign. So you can think of those two terms as being synonymous. Now, if you look at the third step under your dashboard, you can see that it is send a campaign. And directly below that, there is a drop-down link that says learn more. And one of the choices is a video on building a campaign. If you have never built a campaign before, I recommend that you take the time to watch that quick video, as it will describe many of the things that you can do to help you build a successful campaign for your first one. Let's go ahead and click on Send a Campaign. And when we do this, the first thing that we need to do is tell it which list we're going to send this campaign to. So we choose one of the lists that we have. We'll just choose newsletter, which in this case goes to a single recipient, namely me. And then we click on Next Step. And as we click on Next Step, you'll see that this progress bar at the top goes from recipients to setup, and then other things go through the step-by-step widget here. We give this campaign a name, and we can say something like newsletter for March, however we want to, whatever we want to call this. The email subject, the name of the campaign is just for our use. The email subject is something different, so we may say something like learn how to use MailChimp as our subject line. The default from name, whoever this was set up from when you built the list, you can change that if you want to here, as well as the reply to address. And by default, it's going to personalize the to field utilizing the code here for the recipient's first name. By default also, email tracking is on, and I recommend that you go ahead and leave that open so that you can come back later and see who has opened your emails. We then go to the next step, which is to design the actual email. Now, you have a bunch of choices here for designing an email. You can utilize the new drag and drop editor. You can use the basic one, which basically just has text in it, a number of pre-designed forms, and any forms that you've designed and saved already. This is what you're probably going to be utilizing the most of. If you in fact have a newsletter, you'll start with one of the pre-designed forms, customize it the way you want, save it as one of your templates, and utilize that in the future. Let's go ahead and take a look at the pre-designed forms. Now, you can see that there are a bunch of forms over here, and it tells you how many there are in each of these different categories. So, for example, if we are going to send out a newsletter, we can click on newsletters here, find the basic layout of what we're looking for. It doesn't have to be exact because we can customize this and save it as our own later. So we choose the general look of what we want our newsletter to look like, and we select one. This then brings up the editor, and we can choose a bunch of different things, including the general colors that we want to use, the actual areas on the newsletter itself. We can edit any of these things. So, for example, instead of this Banaco Banana Alliance here, we can call this My Company Newsletter, whatever we're going to utilize here. After we have input all of our content and we know that this is what we want to utilize in the future, we can save this to My Templates. Otherwise, we can go to the next step, which is the plain text format of your newsletter. It's real easy to just copy all the text from the HTML, and then if you want to, you can edit this so that it looks a little bit different for people that utilize plain text emails. And this is often the case with mobile phones, smartphones. People read their emails as plain text, so you want to make sure that your text email has a consistent message with the HTML email if people don't want to be looking at all of your images and so forth. You then click on Confirm, and it's going to tell you if there are any errors. If there are, then you have the option here to edit them or to update them, and then you can simply send it right now. You can schedule it for a later time, or you can simply preview and test it. Let's go ahead and click on Schedule. When do we want to schedule this for? Well, let's schedule it for 1 o'clock in the afternoon. You can edit your time zone. The time zone here, instead of being the Eastern time, let's go ahead and set this. I am in Mountain Time. Let's go back to our campaign. Edit the newsletter where we were, schedule it. It's going to go out at 2 p.m. Mountain Time. That's fine. If you want to utilize the batch features here with a bunch of things, then you need to go ahead and upgrade your account from the free account. We don't need to do that. We'll just come down here and click on Schedule, and it will be ready to go. So that's how you create a campaign, edit the email, and send it out. And you're now ready to get started utilizing MailChimp to do your email marketing.